been battling heavy seas for hours to reach Montague Island, one of the largest uninhabited islands in North America, in the Gulf of Alaska. Our target, giant halibut.
I'm trying to figure out if we can actually fish this.
Now we were hoping the weather would lay down and luck would strike.
Whoa. Hey, good shot. All right, that's a big fish, dude.
But would it all just be hype? The tug on the other side of my rod suggested otherwise.
Nice going, Ryan. Oh, he's huge, Aaron.
One after another, we started reeling in halibut after halibut, in what would become the catch of a lifetime.
I think that's the biggest fish we put on the boat.
Join us in this episode to see why they call this the land of the giants.
From the bayou to the Rocky Mountains and the depths of the Pacific to the sandbars of New England, this is Boat Traders' Stomping Grounds. From small bass boats to giant offshore titans and everything in between, boaters across America show us why they love their boat and exactly what makes it the perfect vessel for their neck of the woods. In this episode, we're heading to America's last frontier, the great state of Alaska, to explore the 49 states' waterways, rugged seaside landscapes, and vast unbroken wilderness. With more coastline than all other states combined, and a landmass over twice the size of Texas, Alaska is a place where the natural world still holds sway, and human civilization has yet to fully make its mark. The largest state in the Union by far, terrain here stretches out before you in unimaginable vastness, playing host to an array of creatures that live out their lives in a world virtually undisturbed by civilization.
Hey, I'm Ryan McVinney and welcome back to another episode of Boat Traders' Stomping Grounds. In this episode, we're going to go explore some boating life around America's last frontier, the 49th state, land of the midnight sun. Of course, I'm talking about the great outdoor wilderness of Alaska, which has some of the best boating in the country. So let's go check it out.
Our Alaskan adventure began at Ted Stevens Airport in Anchorage, where I met the Boat Trader production
We made
crew.
it. This is Mr. Arnie. Here's Scott Photography, right? That's how you pronounce your full name? Scott Photography. First day here in Alaska. Let's get this started.
We kicked off our trip at F Street Station to sample some regional seafood and nightlife.
F Street has two different portion sizes, the Texas size and the Alaska size. And of course the Alaska size is twice the size of the Texas.
What's that say? Do not eat. But listen, we're rebels.
Your cheese, sir.
When in Alaska, if you see a sign that says, do not eat this cheese, eat the cheese.
The next morning, we decided to explore Anchorage before heading south for our first boat ride.
The largest city in the state, Anchorage is surrounded by water and nature and serves as a gateway to adventure, combining wild beauty with convenient urban comforts and cultural centers. The Chugach Mountains create a dramatic skyline for Anchorage, while the nearby National Forest provides more than 9,000 square miles of rafting, hiking, kayaking, biking, and fishing. Alaska is home to the 10 tallest mountain peaks in the United States, including Denali, which looms large in the distance from Anchorage, along the city's northern horizon.
All right, guys, I'm standing here on the waterfront in Anchorage, and behind me is Mount Denali. You can see the snow-capped peaks behind us in the distance. It's a pretty amazing view from here.
Also known by its former official name, Mount McKinley, Denali is the highest peak in North America, with a summit elevation of over 20,000 feet, and is the tallest mountain in the world from base to peak, with an 18,000-foot vertical rise. Alaska natives have lived in the region for thousands of years and today comprise over 20% of the state's population, forming a varied collective hailing from multiple tribes that span 5 geographical regions, encompassing 20 distinct languages and embracing many unique cultural traditions. Early inhabitants here were expert mariners who focused on hunting seals, sea otters, and whales in small kayaks. The word kayak comes from Inuit and means man boat. Women typically used Umiaks, open boats resembling canoes, also known as skin boats. These vessels were made by stretching seal and sea lion skins over driftwood and whalebone frames, and included variations known as unyaks and badarkas.
From Anchorage, we drove south along the Turnagain Arm, a narrow 40-mile-long waterway characterized by a dramatic shoreline with many scenic stops along the way, including Beluga Point, where beluga whales can often be spotted.
Let's see if we can find some beluga whales.
The area is an archaeological site where artifacts as old as 10,000 years have been found. Natives here hunted beluga whales, which they harvested for food and oil for cooking and fuel. Here, the Alaska Railroad winds along the shore, and it's a great place to take in the views, the surrounding mountains, the rocky coast, and the unique geological features.
So we've spotted some beluga whales here. Where was he?
Oh, that's straight out, right there. It's 100 oars up.
Next, we made a brief stop at Alyeska Ski Resort, where we took the tram to the summit to get a complete view of the waterway below. And learn more about local culture at the historic Summit Roundhouse.
I'm standing here on the top of Alyeska Peak, and we're looking out over Turnagain Arm. We hear from locals there are some adventurous surfers that will go out there and surf the Boar Tide tidal wave as it pushes through this valley.
The Turnagain Arm has 40-foot tides, the largest in the U.S., that rip through and cause a 6-foot-high wall of water that can reach speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. To get to Whittier, you have to drive through the longest highway tunnel in North America. At 2.5 miles long, it's also the longest combined car and railway tunnel on the continent. Completed in 1943, the tunnel is a testament to American grit and engineering that took workers nearly 2 years to construct and passes under the 4,200-foot Maynard Mountain above. About 2 miles in, we all started to feel like we were in the upside-down dimension of Stranger Things.
So it's around like that behind you.
That's what we just came through.
Now entering Whittier. Big cruise ship over here.
I went on the boat trip.
You can buy cruise ships on Boat Trader, it is true. Oh yeah.
So we got Prince William Sound here on our left and cruise ship, the Grand Princess.
All right, we're getting geared up here for this cruise with Phillips Cruises and Tour.
All right, ready to rock and roll.
With an abundance of wildlife and natural beauty, Whittier is a jump-off for fishing charters, sightseeing cruises, and glacier cruises around Prince William Sound, offering top-sea kayaking opportunities amongst many sheltered coves and camping beaches. Fishing and sightseeing charters depart daily all summer, while winters bring harsh weather.
Our boat for the day was the Glacier Quest, an 80-foot-long aluminum tri-deck high-speed catamaran built in 1987. She can hold 149 guests and crew, cruises at 18 miles an hour, and tops out around 21. So we're here with Captain Ian
Turnbach.
Ian Turnbach, thank you, and thanks for having us aboard today, man.
There's actually about 3,000 miles of coastline in Prince William Sound alone. The wildlife is incredible. I mean, we saw black bears today. We'll see humpback whales, orcas. Like, you can get some amazing wildlife. So we went in to Hidden Falls. Our bow was in like 10 feet of water and our stern was in like 50.
We learned from Captain Dernbach that the whole fjord was carved out by glaciers, and the rock walls we see continue down into the water at depths as deep as 1,200 feet.
Glacier waterfalls coming down the hills here through the fog.
The fog and rain thickened as we neared the glaciers, but we admired the surreal views of waterfalls cascading down steep banks, covered in seabirds and shrouded in mist.
After that, we went into Blackstone Glacier.
Blackstone Bay is a stunning fjord located on the western edge of Prince William Sound that is home to 7 towering glaciers that cling to the high cliffs on all sides.
Well, in front of us is Blackstone Glacier. This is an active tidewater glacier, which means it forms up high in the accumulation zone, and then its own weight pushes it down here all the way to the surface of the water where it calves, breaks off in big chunks.
And then we went just around the corner to Beluga Glacier, another tidewater glacier. Had that huge calving on the left. That was very cool. We don't often see it calve from that high up. You can hear that thunder that we were talking about.
This is Beluga Glacier. When we pulled up, we saw a big 100-foot high chunk of ice fall into the water. A big wave that came up here. Very adventurous people that are also must be very patient. They come out here and sometimes surf the calving waves.
Getting up and close on a jet ski would be pretty cool too. We got this crew here.
It's quite the adventurous jet ski ride from Whittier to Beluga Glacier, a wet and chilly 50-mile round trip that will reward you with an up-close and personal experience of this wild terrain.
Thanks for talking to us, man. I know I'll let you drive the boat.
Absolutely. Thank you. I'm Captain Ian, and this is my stomping ground.
Back on land here.
Well, outboard graveyard.
All right, guys, the thing about Whittier, that tunnel closes at 11 o'clock at night, and if you don't make that, you become POWs, prisoners of Whittier. I think we should hit the road because we have an early date tomorrow morning in Seward.
About 90 miles southwest of Whittier, on the shores of Resurrection Bay, lies the historic town of Seward, Alaska, gateway to the Kenai Fjords National Park.
Now arriving in Seward.
Seward ranks among the top commercial fishing ports in the U.S., with an economy that thrives on tourism in the summer. The town is also the home port of the 110-foot U.S. Coast Guard cutter ship Mustang. An island-class patrol boat, this steel-hull vessel has a range of 3,400 miles and a top speed of around 35 miles per hour. The breathtaking landscape here is shaped by glaciers from the massive Harding ice field that feed the surrounding coastal fjords. Resurrection Bay is an 18-mile-long fjord that is approximately 5 miles wide with a maximum depth of 972 feet and an average depth of 500 feet. The waterway contains many deep coves, steep rocky cliffs, cascading waterfalls, and abundant fish and wildlife.
At first light the next morning, we got our fishing licenses and met Captain Andy Mezirow, who operates a fishing charter on his boat, the Gray Light, exclusively targeting Alaskan king salmon.
My father was a fisherman, and so I kind of grew up around it, watching these fishermen walk down the dock, and sort of this thing that I fell in love with when I was a kid, and I still get excited to go fishing every day after all these years. This is my 27th year here in Seward, Alaska. Prior to that, I worked on commercial fishing boats and research vessels. I'm one of 6 Alaskans responsible for managing all the federal fisheries in the state of Alaska. It's a appointed position. Make sure that the fishing is sustainable, so we look out for the fish and the fishermen. People love to come fishing here because of the remoteness and the wilderness and the solitude. You can fish all day and really not see a lot of other boats. Every one of these fjords around us is very deep. Mountains are steep and austere on all sides, so it tends to be windy here too. That's the other thing. You don't really have sea tow. You're out here on your own, and so people tend to be pretty resourceful at keeping their boats running and getting themselves out of trouble. Fishing in Alaska, you want a boat that's incredibly seaworthy and safe, but you also want a boat that's fast. You want to have 2 motors here. This is a remote area. We go hours and days without seeing other boats, and you just don't want to be floating around out here with no help. This is a Don Radden custom 29-foot sport fish boat. I spent a lot of time with Don Radden designing this boat. I wanted to make sure we got everything right. I think we did. Substantial fiberglass boat. It's great in rough weather. It's got a 2,000-pound insulated fish box. It holds 400 gallons of fuel in it, which is a lot for a boat this size. It's got this aft station where I can steer the boat from out here and kind of run the operation while being the deckhand at the same time. Everything is accessible.
The first order of business is king salmon today, learning about how Andy has this boat set up and rigged out for that type of fishing.
We started off our day, we went out over to Bear Glacier, trolled in front of Bear Glacier. We have 4 electric downriggers on here. Gives us a lot of fishing power. Even if we get a bite on one of them, we still have 3 fishing for us. Wire cables going through the water, the boat never stops moving. There's icebergs we're going to be driving around like. This is hard fishing to catch these things, but we may not even get a bite. We'll catch silvers, but kings, you don't know. And these things are like a unicorn. One of the secrets of downrigger fishing is a certain amount of electrical current attracts salmon. And so these are all geared up to put a certain amount of current in the water to attract the salmon, and they work. We're using these devices to fix the depth of our lures to 75 feet. And when the fish bites, it's going to pull the line out of this clip, grab the rod and fight the fish. Keep the rod up high like this, and walk it to the back of the boat to clear all this apparatus so it doesn't get tangled in the other wires.
I think there's a bite on that one.
This is a very small fish. This is a little baby. Maybe it's not that small. Let's get a look at it. Oh, actually it's not that small. It's king salmon. We're gonna let this go, but we wouldn't have to. But not a bad specimen. Walk him over. Oh, he's in the now. Oh. Ah, you all right, nice, solid. King salmon for dinner, first thing in the morning. Look at the color of that thing, a beautiful fish. 8 pounds, 9 pounds.
Not too bad for first thing in the morning.
We're not even on the good spot yet.
What kind of fish are the king salmon feeding on?
Mostly herring and juvenile sablefish right now.
I think I saw that one move.
It's a big fish. Nice and easy. That's a large fish. It ate a huge lure. If he starts coming at you, you may have to reel as fast as you can to keep up. A lot of times they'll charge the boat too. There he is on the surface. Look at him jumping. Solid, huh?
Yeah.
Arnie, can you reel this one in, please?
Oh, that was a big jump. You see that?
Yeah, easy. There you go. Nice job. This is a tug of war.
Yeah. All right.
Watch him in this wire right here, right? Got him.
Yep.
Hog. Oh, look at that pig.
Jeez. Nice. Oh, man. Woo.
It's a jumbo.
Dang. That's a big one, huh?
Yeah, it is.
Man, this is a beautiful fish. This is a jumbo king salmon. Thank you for making it easy, man. This was awesome.
There we go. Picked up 4 nice king salmon.
Captain Mezirow was spot on with finding the kings that day. Scotty even jumped on the rod and caught himself a really nice king salmon.
Well done, dude. Another fatty.
So everyone got in on the action.
Then we went a little closer in the bay and targeted the silver salmon and caught a mess of those.
Oh, big bastard. Jesus. Derby winner. Oh, God, Ryan.
Oh! Yeah, that's a perfect silver right there.
The bite was great with the silvers too. The first one I reeled in was a Derby winner, and then they just kept coming from there.
What do we got, Scott?
We got silver number 6 on the boat, looking pretty fresh.
Looks
Nice
beautiful.
big fish.
Yeah.
The fish box was steadily filling up with all of our silver salmons, plus our 4 beautiful kings from earlier. We could have kept fishing, but we felt we had our fill. And Andy offered to take us sightseeing at a few of his favorite places on the way back to the marina. The clouds were starting to lift, and we could see more of the stunning terrain around us. One of the highlights was a protected cove the locals called God's Pocket. All right, guys, here we are in God's Pocket, a name that does more than hint at the divine beauty of the place. A winding waterfall cascades over rocks and logs, down a steep chasm, carving its way through an emerald blanket of thick spruce and hemlock forests.
My father's favorite quote was, love many, trust few, and always paddle your own canoe. And I think it's not a bad lesson to think about in life. I'm Andy Mezirow. We're here on the Great Light in Seward, Alaska, and these are my stomping grounds.
Back at the marina, Captain Mezirow filleted our catch for us. We realized one of the fish I caught was a rare 21-pound white king salmon.
White king salmon is an exceedingly rare fish that has long been coveted by anglers. Only about 5% of king salmon are white kings, and they appear identical to other king salmon on the outside. However, inside their flesh is pearly white and softer than the more common red kings. The taste is said to be more buttery and silky than red kings.
Alright guys, so we found out that this place here, Apollo Restaurant, will cook up your catch. So we're here to reap the rewards of our day out fishing. We're gonna take our white king salmon, we got a nice fillet of that. We're gonna go in and have them grill it for us. Just a little bit, we want it kind of rare so we can taste it. Looks pretty good.
There you go. The white king salmon. Beautiful. That is good. Awesome. That is really good. Fantastic meal here at Apollo. We're gonna go to bed.
It was time to get some shut-eye before our halibut trip the next morning. We went down to the marina just before sunrise to meet local boater Ryan Bloom, who'd invited us out on his 46-foot Lindell sport fishing yacht. He's the kind of guy that likes to be the first one to leave the docks in the morning.
I had you guys meet me at the boat at 6 o'clock this morning. I've been fishing in Alaska for 30 years. All I really want to do is hunt and fish, and some of the best hunting in the world is right here in Alaska, and obviously some of the best fishing. The weather and the water up here is the stuff you really got to be concerned with. Everybody likes to go fish for salmon, but to come out here and have a decent chance of catching 100-plus pound fish, how do you say no to that?
Once aboard Bloom's boat, I noted the huge battle-ready cockpit and could tell right away a lot of big fish had been caught on his rig. We're hitting it early. Pushed off about 6 a.m., just leaving Seward Harbor. An eerie feeling hung in the fog around us as we made our way out of the marina and up Resurrection Bay towards the Gulf of Alaska. The weather report was pretty airy, but after coming all this way, we weren't about to let a little wind and rain stop us.
We're gonna run about 2 hours out. This is some pretty serious fishing on a serious fishing boat.
We came out in some really crappy weather. It was raining, blowing, did everything but snow on us. Nobody else came out here. I think they all stayed inside and fished for salmon.
Just heard we got 15 to 20 knots and 4 to 5 foot seas, so it's gonna get a bit rough. As soon as we got around Resurrection Point, we started getting whipped with 35-mile-an-hour wind and big white caps.
Rough water coming out. We started at a 4 and 5 footers. The weather out here gets pretty freaky, but the boat handles anything. There's nothing the boat doesn't handle. We've been in 18, 20-foot seas and 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds. The boat handles fine.
We're now hitting 6 to 7 footers out here in the Gulf.
We went from 4 to 5 to 6 to 7.
The further we went, the waves kept getting bigger, and the weather forecast kept getting worse.
It's the true Alaska fishing adventure. Down and out across the Gulf to get to our spot for halibut.
We started wondering if we'd even be able to fish today, and how bad it might be on the way back.
Even in 10-foot waves, we were still doing 25 miles an hour.
I could see how confident Bloom was in his boat, but I also know things can turn quickly at sea, and overconfidence can sometimes get you in trouble. To make matters even worse, our windshield wipers had cut out. Fortunately, the angled windshield on the Lindell sheds water quickly. It still looked like the inside of a washing machine.
What do you think, Sarah?
We finally arrived at an open roadstead off the southeast corner of Montague Island. Trying to figure out if we can actually fish this. We dropped anchor and started getting geared up, hoping the storm would ease and the swells would subside. Known as the land of the giants, Montague Island is famed for its remote but productive sport fishery. Numerous record-breaking halibut have been caught here by adventurous anglers. But despite the promise of landing a big game fish, due to the isolated location, it remains a grim, forbidding land that only hardy explorers get to see in person.
Getting out the fishing rods, we're gonna see what we can do here. Barely stand up, but...
Contrary to the weather forecast, it started to lay down. We began setting up rods and hooks with herring and ball weights and dropping bait bags and lines.
They custom built the boat for what we do up here in Alaska. This is the biggest cockpit I've ever seen. I mean, nobody's got a deck like this. Vacuum sealer, got a couple freezers on the boat. Irwin rod holders, clam shells. Underneath there's shelves, extra slots for rod holders for fishing gear that we bring out here. A 5-foot fillet table back there at the right height. There's a 3-foot swim step on the back. Hauling these big fish in, I needed something I could stand on and not worry about falling over.
Captain Bloom explained the setup and the gear to me.
Grab the trigger. Done. Okay? What you want to look for is you pull this. Let's just start going down hard.
As we waited for the first bite, Bloom made his way to the bow to try to fix the windshield wipers.
Yellow eye. I'm going to send it back down.
The first 3 fish we caught were all yellow eye rockfish. Cool fish, but not what we were after, so we weighted them down and dropped them back to the bottom. Next, we caught a nice little keeper-sized silver that we threw in the live well. Of course, these weren't the big game fish we came all this way to catch. Just as we were starting to wonder if battling 12-foot waves was worth it, we got our first real bite.
All right, that's a big fish, dude.
Out back here.
Captain Bloom had me step out onto the platform to fight the fish. After 10 minutes of battling, I was starting to realize the fish below was a juggernaut.
That's a big fish when you run it like this.
How do you like that? Huh?
Have fun, Net.
For a relentless 20 minutes, I waged battle against the fish. When it finally broke the surface, we saw it was a giant halibut, a 115-pound fish.
You ever caught a fish that big? No. Nice going, boy.
So this trip was a success anyways with that one fish. I mean, that's 100 pounds of halibut.
With barely a minute to catch my breath, we got another bite. I could tell this fish wasn't quite as big as the last one, but it was still putting up a strong fight.
See him? Halibut number 2.
The second fish ended up being a 40-pound halibut. And just like that, we had a third bite on the line. Another fierce fighter.
Good dude.
As we hauled the third prize on board, a 33-pound halibut, the sun began to break through the clouds above us. In a heart-racing span of just 45 minutes, we'd ensnared 3 nice halibut. We sat back for a minute to enjoy the views on what was turning out to be a great day of fishing. The haunting mist over Montague's rocky heights finally broke, and we could begin to make out the shoreline with a thick forest looming behind. If the day had ended there, we'd have been more than happy with our catch. Little did we know what was in store for us next. Another surge jolted one of the lines, and Arnie grabbed the rod this time, setting the stage for an epic clash of wills.
That could be a good one. Yeah.
Woohoo! This is gonna be a gun. Oh, let's bring you out back.
After 10 minutes, we could tell this was going to be a fight.
Just take her easy. You got all day.
You get real down slow.
You're not gonna out, are you, Ernie? Okay. That's a nice fish. The stripping line. Alright, I'm gonna get some over here. You're good. Alright, now you can lean back, do whatever you want.
After 20 minutes of fighting the fish, Arnie was starting to shake.
Yeah, come up here, buddy. Let's try to keep him away from the wall.
And after a 30-minute battle,
I got colors.
the fish finally started to come into the surface. When we saw it,
Oh my god, he's huge there.
our jaws dropped.
Holy
This wasn't just any catch.
oh my god.
It was the titan of the day.
It's a 200-pound butt. I'll get him up here. There, 200 pounds at least.
Nice fish! Oh, buddy!
Holy I think that's the biggest fish we put on the boat.
That is a nice fish.
Big fish.
Nice thing. Oh man. That's a big ass fish. Holy.
All right, Arnie, nice job.
That was a lot of fun.
How big is that fish?
About 200 pounds. That's the biggest fish I've ever caught, man.
Nice,
That's a big fish. Thanks.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
That was pretty awesome.
How big is your fish?
72 inches. Not too shabby. That is a beast. Which one's bigger, me or the fish?
Length or thickness?
That's what she said.
When all was said and done, we caught nearly 400 pounds of halibut off the coast of Montague Island that day. Captain Bloom got to work filleting our impressive catch right on the boat, and the 4 creatures would end up feeding our family and friends for many meals. It was a poetic end for these titans of the sea, a valiant last stand that showcased their might and fighting spirit. In their final moments, our cameras had captured their majestic presence. We gazed around, full of gratitude for the untouched beauty of our surroundings, for the bounty of the sea, and the robust vessel beneath our feet. But most of all, for the generosity of these Alaskan boaters who had so graciously shared their knowledge and skills with us. We felt profoundly fortunate, not just to catch fish, but to immerse ourselves in the raw beauty and magic of this wild marine wilderness.
Years ago, I decided when I die, I'm never going to say I wish I did this or I wish I did that. I'll have done everything I wanted to do, which is kind of what we're doing right now. I'm Ryan Bloom. I'm the captain of the Peaceful Easy Reelin, 46-foot Lindell, and this is my stomping grounds.
We spent the next day exploring the town of Seward, meeting locals and learning more about the boating culture and the local history.
So around town here, we've heard some great things about a local old-timer, Captain Bob, who runs the Safari Lodge. So we're gonna go in here and catch up with him and hear some local boating tales.
I've been a fishing guide here in Seward for 42 years. I'm the old-timer. Right out of high school, came to Alaska with my dad. I fell in love with Alaska the moment I got off the airplane. As soon as I saw those mountains, I knew that I had found my new home. The first place I came looking for work was Seward. I wanted to work on a boat. I started commercial fishing for halibut. There was a really nice sport fisherman called the Break Time, like 2 boats down from the commercial boat that I worked on. And I got to know the owner. His name was Jim Blake. I would just go deckhand with him. That man taught me everything about boats, and together he and I, we caught a lot of halibut out of here. In 1989, the Exxon Valdez ran aground. Captain Jim and I, on the break time, we got the job to go out and catch sea otters.
The tragic environmental disaster in Alaskan waters. And more than 10 million gallons of oil have been spilled with deadly results for wildlife and hardship for local citizens. We all share the sorrow and concern of Alaskans and a determination to mount a sustained cleanup effort.
We would catch otters, put them in kennels, and then they would fly helicopters in and veterinarians would take care of them from there. We went out to sea March, a couple days after the spill, and we stayed out in the Gulf, lived on the boat, catching sea otters all the way through November of that year. At the end of the season, I had a pile of money. That's how I started Saltwater Safari Company. So we have 3 deltas. We have the Legend, the Legacy, and the Renegade. And the Legend and Legacy are 50-foot deltas built by Delta Marine Industries in Seattle, and the Renegade's a 43-foot delta. The Legend and Legacy were the last 2 charter boats built by Delta Marine, and now Delta Marine builds like these big mega yachts. We love our military, we love our veterans here, and we let them know it. The Armed Services Combat Fishing Tournament is the biggest military appreciation fishing tournament in history. And we just finished our 16th year, and we have about 25, 30 boats every season, and we take several hundred active duty soldiers fishing from all branches, Coast Guard, Air Force, Army, Marines, we get them all. We donate one of our boats every year on Purple Heart Day. We take the Purple Hearts fishing. They're great guys. The first year we did it, we had World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Afghanistan. We had them all. Safari Lodge, we have guests from all over, but mostly fishermen stay here. This place is just magical. It's just majestic. You're out there and I don't care how big your boat is, when you pull into some of these bays and coves, you're tiny. When my father died, I was devastated. I opened up his dresser drawer, and there in the top drawer was an envelope, and it said, "For my son." And I opened that envelope up, written on a piece of paper, "The bravest are surely those that have the clearest vision of what lies before them. Glory and danger alike, and yet notwithstanding, go out to meet it." And I have that framed in my living room. And that's what I live by. Don't be afraid of nothing. Go out there, live. I'm Captain Bob Kondopoulos, and these are my stomping grounds.
Our time in Alaska was coming to an end soon, but there was still one thing we all wanted to see that we had: the annual Salmon Run, where wild species of salmon swim back against the stream to spawn on the gravel beds of small creeks. We heard there was a trail right off the side of the road that would lead us where the salmon would be running.
We were told if we came up here, we could see some salmon. But we've been hiking through mud and rain and little streams, but we haven't found the Salmon Run yet.
Fortunately, we had some company along the way, 2 girls and a young couple all looking for the same thing.
Here, a little water. What'd she say? We're all wondering where this goes. We don't have any bear spray or any bear bells, but luckily I know I'm faster than at least 4 people with us. Just kidding.
We walked almost 2 miles into the woods with no sign of a stream or any salmon.
All right, after consulting our GPS, we have come to the consensus that we're giving up, right?
Basically.
I think so. We're literally less than halfway to nowhere.
We're less than halfway to nowhere. That's my new motto, man.
On our drive back, the glaciers glistened high above us, when suddenly we looked out the window and saw a river full of jumping fish right by the side of the road.
This stream is chock full of salmon jumping, making their way up there to spawn. It's pretty cool to see up close.
Finally seeing the Salmon Run was a great cap to our epic Alaskan adventures.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining us for this episode of Stomping Grounds. Hope you've enjoyed exploring some boating life here in Alaska with us. Don't forget, if you've got a cool boating story you want us to come to your neck of the woods next time, send us a message, tell us why you love your boat. Follow us on social media, youtube.com/boattrader, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the stuff the cool kids are doing these days. For now, I'm Ryan McVinney with Boat Trader. Stay floating, America.
As our adventure on Alaska's waterways comes to an end, we reflect on a world of towering glaciers and giant sea creatures and the resilient folks who call these rugged shores home. From battling 12-foot waves and reeling in an elusive prize catch to the thundering boom of calving ice and close-up wildlife encounters, we felt the pulse of Alaska's boating culture firsthand. The name Alaska itself draws us closer to the essence of this remarkable place. Derived from the native word Alyeska, it beckons us to embrace its original meaning, that which the sea breaks against. Just as the sea forges its unending connection with the land, so too do the people of Alaska forge a bond with their waterways. What's your stomping grounds? Follow us at youtube.com/boattrader or on Instagram and Facebook to share your boating stories for a chance to be featured. Who knows? Maybe we'll come to your neighborhood next. This is Boat Trader's Stomping Grounds.